Hi and welcome to another 3-string cigar box guitar lesson. I'm Sean from Chord Guitar and today we're doing a bit of Chicago blues. So what we're going to do in this next sort of short series of lessons is we're going to focus on a bit of slide combined with fretted playing, just so you can get some sort of chordal accompaniment alongside your slide playing, your lead stuff. So a bit of classic Elmore James inspired Chicago blues here, sort of 12-bar structure. So it's mostly fretted like rhythm playing, which would normally be like accompanying the sort of vocal lines in the verses, with a bit of slide sort of lead riffs in between, and then a slide solo for the second 12-bar. But before we get on with the lesson, just a big thanks to everybody who's had a look at the new website so far. We're selling scores, just hoping that people will like support the channel a little bit, just so we can put out more content. There's a half-price sale that's just finished on all the previous scores, but all of the new ones that we publish, all the new videos where there aren't any sort of copyright issues, we'll put out a score and just sell it for a cheap price, half price for the first 7 days if people are interested. So if you check out codetuition.com. But before we carry on, let's just tune up. So we've got low G and middle D and high G. Okay, so what we're doing here is just playing a completely standard sort of 12-bar blues. So there's a few other lessons. I'll put like a link to those, which is just talking about the 12-bar blues form. And it's also got a swung rhythm, a shuffle rhythm. So again, there's a couple of lessons sort of looking at that in a little bit more detail. And we're fingerstyle as well. And so what we're doing for the first part of it, we're in G. So as we've talked about before, D, G, D, or rather G, D, G, sorry, is an open power chord. So that is completely a G chord. And a real classic sort of blues rhythm playing bass line could sound a little bit like that. So what we're doing is we're adding in some extra notes just on the middle D string, so on fret 2 and fret 3. You can completely just do this with one finger if you want. I'm using 2, but it doesn't really matter. And so the thumb is just playing the bass to start with, a bit of palm muting, just to get a bit of sort of separation out of the sound. Again, there's lessons sort of covering that in a little bit more detail. And also what I'm going to be doing is quite a lot of double plucking with my fingers, index finger on the middle string and middle finger on the high G. Sometimes people call this like a brush in blues. So we've got like 3 digits working at the same time there. And so what's happening, as with a lot of other stuff that we've looked at, the thumb is just playing on the beat. So there's 4 thumb notes in the bar, and the fingers are either with the thumb together or in between. So it's together, fingers in between. I'm plucking like pairs of notes all the time here. So it's always 2 fingers plucking the high G and the middle D. So it's together with the thumb, in between. I'm going to add in fret 2, and that is with the thumb as well. And then in between is off. And then I'm going to add in fret 3, and that is with the thumb. Off is in between, and then back to fret 2, and that is with the thumb, and then off again. So it's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so together, fingers together, fingers together, fingers together, fingers. See what's happening with picking there. And so you can hear that hopefully that's got that uneven shuffle rhythm to it. Again, if that's a little bit of a funny thing, basically what's happening is the first note is longer, so that the note that's with the thumb, the finger notes that are with the thumb are longer, and then the ones on their own are shorter. So you get that slightly uneven sound to it. Okay, so hopefully that's okay. Now, when we've looked at 12-bar structures previously, we're talking about the fact that you normally play the first chord, which is G in this case, for 4 bars. And we still are kind of doing that, but what we're doing is, just to break it up a little bit, is we're actually jumping up very briefly to the C, which is fret 5. And we're playing that straight in there for the second bar, and then we're going back to the G for the third and the fourth bars. So just going back to the C, this is now a bar. Now hopefully this is all, I mean, I was playing it quite quickly in the intro, but hopefully this is all relatively easy if you've been playing for a little bit. So we could say it's almost sort of like beginner level, but what might be quite difficult is barring. So what we do when we bar is we've got to get our thumb halfway down the back of the neck. Okay, so what you want to try to do is you want to try to effectively pinch with your thumb onto the middle portion of the side of your finger when you bar him. Okay, and that keeps your finger straight, so you can cover, hopefully, like sort of get your pressure across the 3 strings and let them all ring out. So we want to get the thumb like halfway down the back of the neck and the finger pointing up over the top. So there's like all of my nail there, which is basically covering it's above low G, the bass string, and sometimes you can like roll off a little bit onto the side of your finger as well. I frequently do that when I'm barring. It just and the question, the trick is to try to push down from the middle portion of your finger, not the tip, because if you do from the tip, you might catch that one, but we've got problems in the middle. So we actually want to push down from a different part of our finger when we're barring compared to like normal fretting. Okay, now I'm talking about this because it is quite difficult if you've not been playing for that long, particularly if you set up for slide and you've got a relatively high action. It could feel quite tough doing this, and then we've got to start adding notes on top as well. So we want to get this bar right. So to start with, you could actually like sack off these extra notes and just do the same picking pattern, but not add in those extra notes like I was doing in the demo. So that would be, just hold that bar, try and obviously get all 3 ringing out, and then it's together, fingers together, fingers, just keep alternating. So pluck together, fingers together. It's the same picking pattern as what you were doing for the first bar of G. All right. But yeah, so practice that just on the C. And you could go like this, just without putting these extra notes in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and back to the G. You could just go backwards and forwards between those two, just initially. Okay, so what you will actually do in bar 3 is you won't actually go back and play the bass line part because it's kind of like the end of a vocal phrase. So we've got space to do a little guitar riff. So I'm getting the slide involved here, going right up to fret 12, just covering the D and the G strings. I'm going to keep this one open, keep a bit of bass there. And I'm going to play triplets, which is just 3 notes per beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So just I'll leave the actual slides, we'll put those in a minute. Just the notes that you play, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and an extra one. So that thumb is just constantly thumping away on the beat, and we've got 1, 2, 3, beat 2, 1, 2, 3, beat 3. Just play that on its own, and we can slide off there. So beat 3, and then play the open in between, so with the fingers, so it's together, and then fret 3, same 2 strings, not the low G with the slide. So that's together, and then the open is in between. So the plucks in between are all opens here. So it's 12, open, 3, open. Okay. So we've got triplets. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Together, open, together, fret 3, open. Okay, so practice that. The only other thing is you can slide into each beat. It just sort of breaks it all up a little bit, makes it sound a bit more authentic. So it doesn't have to be a big slide, just a fret, you know, 1 or 2 frets, no more than that. So I can slide into fret 3 as well. So it's a very quick slide. It's like what you call a grace note slide. So you straight in. We don't want to hear that. We're just straight in. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that's bar 3. So I'll definitely practice that. Bar 4 is just back to the bass line, the open G bass line, same as bar 1, except because we've finished the bar with the slide, bar 3 with an open, that's the very last thing we're doing. I might actually let that ring over, and I'll just play in beat 1 of the 4th bar, just a thumb on its own. So it sounds like this. And then come back in with your fingers in between, back together on fret 2, fingers in between, fret 3 together, in between fingers, fret 2. Okay, I'll just play bars 3 and 4 one more time. There it carries over, and then the fingers join back in. Okay, so I'll play the first 4 bars very quickly so you can hear that, and I'll still just play the bar without the extra notes just for a moment on fret 5. Okay, so we've got 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, slide, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, carry over, fingers come back in. Okay, right, so it's dead repetitive, this. It seems like we spent quite a long time on those first 4 bars, but actually once you get those, there's a lot of direct repeating throughout later parts of this 12-bar structure. So what we need to try and do is add those extra notes in on over the C. So hopefully the bar's okay. We're using the slide on finger 3 because with the 3-string tuning, I think it's by far the most sort of versatile way of being able to play chords. We'll do some like normal sort of open chords in some different videos and different styles, but these bars we can actually use a little finger, and we can sort of step up and down there, and so we'll just sort of take up finger 3 with the slide itself. It seems to work pretty well. So it's exactly the same pattern as what we were doing down here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've just got to try to bridge round there with my little finger so it's not catching this string underneath. And so you've got a couple of different kind of angles there with your fingers. So this one's pretty flat. This one's bridging so that we're not catching the high G. Okay, and again, the more you practice this, the more your hand's going to get knackered because you just clamping it there. So keep stretching it out if you're not used to playing bars. And so it's the same pattern as the open G. It's 1. So this is now fret 7 on the second thumb beat. Off. There's fingers on their own. Little finger up to fret 8. That's with the thumb on the third beat. Off again. There's the fingers on their own. Back to fret 7. Together. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. I'll do that again. 3, 4, and. Just do it one more time. Okay. So we only do that once in bar 2. But after we've played the first 4 bars, it then goes to C for two bars, and because this is like the sort of rhythm part of the song, there'll be vocals over the top. We'll literally just repeat that twice. Okay, and then so we'll build this up. So I'll go from the beginning, and I'm going to play the C for bars 5 and 6. Okay, so from the beginning, so 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Straight to C. We'll try and add these extra notes in. 2, 3, 4. We've got the slide. There's the 4th bar on G. Bar 5 is C again. Just do that twice. And maybe for a little bit of variation, I might let a note carry over into the second bar of C, just so I won't pluck with my fingers on beat 1. So it'll be like this. First bar of C. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just the thumb. Fingers come back in. There's together again. And then what we could do right at the end of this bar 6 is maybe play an open, because we're going back to a G now, so I might jump off for the final finger plucks, which is like the offbeat right after beat 4. So bar 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the very last thing I've done there is just pluck those open strings. That's kind of like the end of a vocal phrase there, and there's our slide riff again, exactly the same as bar number 3. Okay, so this is now bar 7. So going from the C, 1, 2, 3, 4, let it carry over. This is bar 6. Go for your slide. And then we'll let that carry over. And then we're back to our G sort of bass part. Okay, so that was bar 8. So bar 7's the high slide, back to the G bass line. And then bar 9, we're going up to D, and we're just going to play the same thing, same pattern. Fret 7, bar on fret 7, but it's exactly the same as what you did on the C. Okay, and because I'm changing chord, I'm going to jump off early, so I'm going to release the whole chord shape on the very last finger plucks. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, open, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, open, and then an open low G, and that note is the start of the next bar, which is going into what we call the turnaround. But we're now moving down onto the middle D here with the thumb. So I'm going to go thumb on fret 3, and then open high G, back to this note again. So it's 3, open 3. Now we're talking about triplets when we were doing the. So these are triplets as well. So that's beat 1. This is beat 2, so 2, triplet, down to fret 2, triplet, down to fret 1, and then down to the open. Okay, so I'll go from the D. Open, and then C, open, let it ring out, turn around, fret 3, fret 2, fret 1, working all the way down with the thumb to the open D there. And that open D is the start of the 12th bar, the turnaround's bar 11. And then typically in a blues, if we've not finished, which we haven't, we're going to go back to a D chord, and it just sounds like we're not finished. So we're going back for another 12 bar. So because we're going into a slide solo here, let's get the slide involved on fret 7. So straight back up to where we just were a minute ago with the chord. Okay. So the turnaround. First of all, you start on low G, fret 3. Fret 2, fret 1, and then open D, straight back up. You can slide into that if you want. And so together, so that's beat 1, this is beat 2, fingers, thumb, fingers, thumb, and then again, same old trick. We'll pluck the open strings right at the end, and that's just taking us off the D, and it's allowing us to go straight into sort of change without hearing the slide up. You get a slightly sort of cleaner sort of cut off between the turnaround and the start of the solo. So that is the first 12 bars. I'll just play through that once, and then we'll have a look at the solo afterwards, the slide solo. Okay, so 3, 4, and fret 5 for the C. Try and add these fingers in. Slide riff. Let it ring over. Fingers come back in. So this is the end of bar 4 now. So bar 5. There's the C again. Let the C ring over, come back in with the fingers, and then we'll jump off early so we can go up to the riff, exactly the same as the riff in bar 3, and then up to D, same rhythm playing, but I might jump off early, then there's the C, jump off early, and then turn around, and then D with the slide, jump off early. Okay. So apart from maybe the bar being a bit tricky for your fretting hand, it's probably easier than the solo, this second bit we're about to do. So I'd practice all of that first before carrying on. But let's get stuck into it. So just because it's solo, we're going to play a lot of triplets again, just sort of like slightly faster notes, just to make it a bit more interesting. What we were doing for the riffs in the first 12 bar, the slide riffs, is we were brushing where we were playing with our fingers together. But let's separate the notes out this time. So we're still using the same fingers on the same frets, same string, sorry. But this time I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's just index finger, middle index. Put the thumb back in. We've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then we can do the same slide down to fret 3 as we did for the riff in the previous 12 bar. So the first bar itself is beat 2, beat 3. Okay, and if you've practiced those slides in for the first 12 bar, you should be able to do this the same thing. All you're doing is just separating out with your fingers. And so your index finger is always the one, apart from when we do the pull on beat 3, but your index finger is the one that goes with your thumb. So it's together, middle, index, together, middle, index, all of them, brush, another brush. So we're going back to the double finger plucking there at the end. All right. And then in the second bar, so we'll just keep this nice and simple. So thumb finger, slide into fret 3, open, fret 5. I won't slide into that. I'll keep a bit of variation. I'll slide to 3, but I'll just place 5. So it's slide, open, 5, open, slide. All right. So it sounds like this: 3, 4. Bar 2, that carries over, fingers come back in, 5, 3, open. Okay, so hopefully that's all right. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing for bars 3 and 4. So we're not changing to the C on bar 2 here. We're just going to be completely playing the slide riffs over the G for the first 4 bars. Okay, so bar 3, you've got the same. Exactly the same as the first bar of the slide solo, but just for a slight bit of variation, we'll do something slightly different in bar 4. So we start the same, thumb, fingers, so we're still leaving this low G ringing out, we're not covering it to start with, but then we are going to cover it now. So we're covering all of the strings at fret 5 and do a slide down. So that's a triplet actually, because we're doing a slide and then a pull off straight afterwards. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then slide in again. Beat 4. So you got 1, 2, all the strings, triplet. Okay, or we could even slide back up with covering all the strings again on the 4th beat of that bar. So you got 1, 2, 3. So cover all the strings, slide down, cover them all, slide back up, but just fingers plucking right at the end. Slide solo, so we're still using the slide when we go up to C. So bar 5 is now on C for 2 bars. Going to keep the triplets going, same trick, but we're just here now. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So triplets for the first 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that sort of sliding off fret 5, open, back up to fret 5, cover all the strings, together, fingers on the open afterwards. So the second half of that bar is so all of that bar, 3, 4, and triplets, slide. We're going to do the second bar of C, make it very similar, but we'll do the same triplet slide pull off to finish it off, just for again a little bit of variation. So that was bar 6. 1, triplet, 2, triplet again, cover all of the strings coming back up. All right. So let's just go from the beginning of the slide solo up to the end of that second bar of C, so the 6th bar in total. Okay, so 3, 4, and bar 2. Sort of fairly steady rhythm here. Triplets. Now here starts the same. All the strings, triplet. Triplets on C, slide 3, triplets on another triplet. So you can hear that's just slightly different the second time, just for a bit of variation. And then we're going back up to fret 12 for the G again, dead repetitive this. So that's exactly the same as like bar 1, and we're going to go straight back up to the triplets again, so that we're not staying down there here this time. So this is bar 7, and bar 8 we're up here. So bar 7, I'll do it again. Straight back up again. 1, 2, 3. It sounds a little bit funny there, but that's taking us up into the D. So I'm going to play 3 sliding into fret 12 triplets up here in bar number 8, but right at the end of the third one I'm going to play an open D. When you speed it up, it doesn't really sort of like jump out quite as much as that. So this is bar number 8. 1, 2, 3, and then immediately after that, open, go to fret 5, because what we're going to do is we're going to step up into D. So that's called a little chromatic movement. If you're basically playing like 1 fret at a time, and you do say like a turnaround in a blues is chromatic, but if you play like 1 fret at a time, it's just a nice little way you can hear that you're sort of telegraphing that you're going somewhere. You know, it's quite an obvious sort of little movement, but it sounds dead effective. So beat 4 is just full slide, covering all of the strings. Fret 5, C, I suppose like a D flat, D. So fret 5, 6, 7 up to the D. All right. So I'll just play bars 7 and 8, which are just on the G. So you got bar 8, extra triplet here, jump off. All right. And when we get to the D, same trick, you know, dead repetitive. We're doing the triplets again, and we're going to go 1, 2. Same idea. Slide off on beat 3. So 1, 2, open. But then we're going to do a chromatic step into C. So we're going 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it's all very, very similar. You know, once you get a feel for like one lick, you should be able to sort of translate this and move it into different fretboard positions. So the D, 1, 2, 3, 4, into C. Let's do the triplet, pull off there. Okay, let's do a different turnaround. We can use a slide for this, so I'm going to angle my slide here so that I'm, without catching the frets, I'm just going to try to just catch, or rather fret, the low G on fret 4 and let the other two ring out. Although we're only actually plucking the top string, but it's quite handy to be able to get that angle so you're not catching that middle one either. So it's 4, 5, 6. Let's go as soon as we've get up to fret 7. We're going to step down and we're going to cover all the strings. So it's just on the bass, fret 4, 5, 6, full sort of bar, full covering with your slide across all the strings for the D. And then just to finish off, back to letting this open G ring out, and so just pluck fret 10, cover the 2 strings at fret 10 all together, and then just fingers sort of slow slide. You can like slow down at this point, slow slide into fret 12, repick that. Job done. Okay, so let's play the whole of the slide solo. So 3, 4, and stay down here. Little slide in, no slide, slide in, triplets. Exactly the same as bar 1, 1, 2, all the strings, triplet, triplets again, slide off fret 3, triplets again, let's do the triplet, slide off, more triplets, straight back up, more triplets, 2, jump off, there's into D, step up to C as well, let's do the triplet, slide off, and then the turnaround, fret 4, fret 5, fret 6, full kind of covering full bar, and then 10 up to 12, leaving the open G ringing out. Okay. Right, so hopefully that's not too bad. I mean, I was playing it at sort of relatively quick, sort of driving tempo in the demo, so I wouldn't worry at all about getting that down at that sort of speed. If you're able to you know, play at a much more sort of gentle tempo, if you can actually search on YouTube for drum beats. So if you put like blues shuffle drum beat or blues shuffle rhythm or something, and maybe try possibly even like 50 BPM, it'll sound really slow, but it won't actually feel that slow when you try and play along with it. 50 or 60, and if you can eventually get it up to 80, that would be dead useful. That's got a good bit of energy to it without being ridiculously difficult. But with most songs, there's a lot of repetition, and it's actually, you know, often the speed at which people play on like original recordings that makes things difficult, as much as the actual licks, the actual riffs themselves. You know, so hopefully once you've got used to your bars, like changing between different sections, trying to keep your picking as consistent as possible, you should be able to, you know, sort of like piece it all together, and then you just take your time. Don't be in a rush to speed it up. Actually get your rhythm like really solid. You know, I'm talking about using drum beats and what have you. You can use metronomes. Often I find, you know, people in like face-to-face like Skype lessons and things, they find it easier to use a beat. So try that, and then, you know, speed it up from there, obviously. But if you want a final play along, let's do the whole thing right from the beginning, and this is going to be much slower than the demo at the beginning. So here we go. So 3, 4, and straight away change to C, and let's have the riff back to the G bass line. So this is bar 4, bar 5 is back to C. Let it ring over. Let's go into our riff again. Okay. And then we've got D. This is bar 10 now. Turn around into the slide on D, because we're going straight into our slide solo. Again, more triplets, basically the same as bar 1 of the solo. Triplets on C. More triplets. Back to G. So that's like the same. Let's have an extra one. Step into C as well. And then different turnaround, fret 4, 5. Okay. You know, again, you could probably go even slower than that, but you do start to like lose the sort of energy. But yeah, just get the timing as consistent as possible. So yeah, I hope that's useful. Hope that's fun to play. So, you know, people like Elmore James, real sort of trailblazers for the Chicago blues style. Sounds great. You know, it's been copied by so many different people across, you know, the decades, because it's such an effective sound. So it works really well on 3 strings. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy that. And if you like this video, you know, please consider checking out the website and having a look at the score, sort of available for a very reasonable price. So it'd be great if you could support the channel, and it'll mean we can, you know, put out videos more regularly as well. And but we're going to do some more in this series, you know, the sort of fretted plus slide. Maybe look at a couple of different styles, maybe a little bit of flat pick playing as well. And that's about it. So look forward to seeing you here again soon on Chord Guitar.